Hey everyone, this is Frank Moore, retired lieutenant from the FDNY and author of the book America the Exceptional, Restoring a Wayward Nation's Greatness. I'm still celebrating our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and the birth of our country. And I'm leaving on my website, frankmoore.us, the free chapter that I have been giving away as a gift in celebration of the day. And I want to give you a fact that you may not be aware of. The French statesman Alexis de Tocqueville is the one that coined the phrase American exceptionalism when he visited here in the 1830s. He wrote a whole journal called Democracy in America, and he basically talked about how government in America was different than that in Europe, and that it stayed out of the way, and that instead in America we accomplish things, our citizenry, by creating associations and banding together and performing good works, and that there was no model like it in Europe. So where does the motivation to do that come from? Well, I'm going to give you a quote from JFK, John F. Kennedy, 1963 in Vanderbilt University, Nashville. Here's what he said. "But this nation was not founded solely on the principle of citizens' rights. Equally important, though too often not discussed, is the citizen's responsibility. For our privileges can be no greater than our obligations. The protection of our rights can endure no longer than the performance of our responsibilities. Each can be neglected only at the peril of the other." So I'm going to read to you now the very beginning of the country, George Washington, and you'll start to see the progression as we get to John F. Kennedy. He says, Washington, "I am sure that there never was a people who had more reason to acknowledge a divine interposition in their affairs than those of the United States. And I should be pained to believe that they have forgotten that agency which was so often manifested during the Revolution, or that they fail to consider the omnipotence of that God who is alone able to protect them. He must be worse than an infidel that lacks faith, and more than wicked that has not gratitude enough to acknowledge his obligations." Once again, he's talking about obligations of the average citizen, similar to John F. Kennedy, but he's relating it to gratitude to God for the creation of this nation. So this is a nation that escaped Great Britain. It's not a nation that was just seeking freedom. It's a nation that was protecting against the abuses of government, its government, because they were all British. And so, to further expound on that, I'm going to give you Elbridge Gerry, who was the signer of the Declaration of Independence. He says, "History can hardly produce such a series of events as has taken place in favor of the American opposition. The hand of heaven seems to have directed every occurrence. It is the duty of every citizen, though he had but one day to live, to devote that day to the service of his country." What kind of service does he mean? He's not saying to the service of the government. He's saying to the service of the country, because this country is founded on liberty. To acknowledge that point, we can go all the way back prior to George Washington and the Revolution to the Continental Congress. They distributed state papers to the colonies, the nation, and to the world, according to this book, The Christian Life and Character. And they said, "The merits and mediation of Jesus Christ to obtain forgiveness and pardon for sins, and pray that pure and undefiled religion may be universally diffused, that vice and irreligion may be banished, and virtue and piety established by grace, that the nation may be made a holy nation, and that the religion of our divine Redeemer, with all its benign influences, may cover the earth as the waters do the sea." So while we continue to celebrate our 250th anniversary, I want to lead you to reflect a little bit on what made this nation great and why are we stagnating? Why are things not progressing positively as they did at the beginning when we grew in leaps and bounds from a vast wilderness into a thriving nation? And so I ask you to just contemplate that and to visit the website and to take a look at the book, America the Exceptional, where all of these quotes are presented. And hope you have a great day and a great 250th celebration. Take care.